Electroconvulsive Therapy, Part 1.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, do the prep with me. Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, do the steak with me. Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, do the walk with me. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, gang. First things first, aftermath.
Hey everybody, Basilray from eCig, YouTube, new Vapor Forum, now vapetv.com as well. And I wanted to put together a quick test video. Now this is not the newest research out there, or numbers out there, definitive numbers out there, but I kind of wanted to do a little of my own battery testing and stuff. Recently, Dave the HiFiStud came out with a really great video testing some different devices under load, so we can see what kind of output those have. I just got this fancy guy here, which is, looks like it was a 510 Attomizer that now has a 510 connector on the end, and from it comes a positive and negative test clamp, so I can clamp these right onto my multimeter, and not only can I, in one shot, test the resistance, but I can test a device under load. This is pretty much a similar thing to what Dave the HiFiStud did, so I guess you could say copying him a little bit, but there is one thing that I wanted to do that he didn't do, and I wanted to test a device with an 18650 and see how an 18650 that's pretty much fully charged holds up under load. So today we're going to look at the 5-volt GLV and see what that does under load, and we're going to look at the silver bullet, just so we can, duplicate Dave's work. We'll also use an ego battery like he did, and we'll just check it out and see what happens. So I am going to flip the camera around, and we're going to get down to business. Alright, let's do this. So here you can see I have my dusty and scratched up metal desktop, and I've got my multimeter here, and these cords are going to lead us to the connector, which is clamped onto this fancy, I think what probably was a Attomizer. So here we have an ego battery, and I've got the device attached here, and I have a Cisco low resistance 510 Attomizer strapped on. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look here and see. I have my multimeter set to, let's see if I can get this in the shot here. I might have to tip it up. I've got it set to ohms right now. So when I'm connected here, set to ohms, it's showing 1.9. Now there are about 0.5 ohms that I need to pull off here because of the resistance of the test leads themselves. So right off the bat you can see, I've got an Attomizer on here that's not dead. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm first going to take off the Attomizer. Just wanted to show you the Attomizer was on there. The Attomizer is functioning. I'm going to flip my multimeter so we can measure current here. And we're going to let this guy get down to 0. I'm going to fire it off. And you can see a freshly charged ego battery is putting out pretty much 3.5 volts. I mean, it's going to waver a little bit from 3.5 to 3.46. It's going to hit the cutoff there. So it's right about there. Now, let's pop this Cisco 510 back onto the device here. There we go. And it's screwed on. And now, let's fire this thing, and let's take a look. So, let me try and get it all in view here. You can see it's firing up. And we're pretty much right at 3.3 on the nose, which is exactly what Dave the HiFiStud got. I mean, his might have said 3.33, pretty much the same thing. So again here, everything is connected up, you can see. So we'll fire it again. 3.3. It's pretty much going to put out a pretty constant 3.3. So that's where we're at with the ego. Now let's switch devices. So I'm going to remove the ego battery here, and I'm going to bring back the silver bullet. I'm going to take off my Attomizer. Oh, camera failure. Oh boy. You know what? Screw it. I'm too lazy. It's Friday. There is a Snownami super blizzard coming to Minnesota. I'm not even going to... Okay, maybe I will cut all that out. Maybe I won't. I guess you'll see in the final product. Sorry, my camera stand is not wanting to cooperate. There we go. We're back. And we're back. So, right now, somehow it's reading negative 0.01. But let's fire it. So we can see here, and it's getting right up to just over 4. So not quite fully charged. Fully charged is going to put out 4.2. We're right up to just over 4. Okay, so let's bring back an atomizer. Before I get too crazy here, after burning this thing, I am going to need to drop in some juice. So let's see how this does here. Just dropped in some Cuban Crisis. Can we get that in there? Maybe. At any rate, Cuban Crisis from Digital Cigs. So you can see here I'm still connected, leading right off to the silver bullet here. So we're going to go ahead and fire this guy again. And look at that, 3.27 is what this is putting out. And it's going to be a pretty constant 3.27. Now this is going to be a little bit higher. Okay, well it dipped. It is going to put out a little bit higher, obviously, when it's freshly charged and running at 4.2. But it's still dropping right down to 3.2. And let me just open this thing up for you. I mean, this is an 18650. Everybody says you got to run a low resistance atomizer with an 18650, which is exactly what I've got here. You can see it there. There we go, 18650. Sorry, it's hard. I don't have enough hands. So this is, everybody says, the battery, the big 3.7 battery to have. And even this, more or less, you know, fully charged, is not going to put out 3.7 volts. This was the big thing that I wanted to check out compared to Dave's test. So Dave tested it with a 14500. I wanted to test it and see if I could get similar results, which I just did with a Cisco low resistance atomizer and the silver bullet. Again, the silver bullet. Internally, right now, I am running an 18650. So let's step this one up again, and let's take a look. Oh, come on, get together. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy off. So here's my empty connector. I'm going to grab my GLV2, which, of course, I didn't have the foresight to remove my gooseneck. So I'm going to take off my gooseneck, take off my atomizer here. First thing we'll do is we'll check the atty. And then, actually, you know what? First we're going to check the voltage potential here. So, here comes the GLV2. Screwing it right on. Let's see what the GLV2 is capable of putting out. And we're showing 8.2 volts here. Now, this is a 5 volt GLV2, but the resistor is not going to kick in until this thing is presented with a full load. So, now let's put our addy on. Come on. There we go. Let's bring it back down. Check the addy resistance. Pretty much 3 on the nose. 3 ohm standard resistance atomizer. Let's go back to volts. So let's get this guy cooking here. You can see, no trickery, still all connected. Let's see what we can do on this thing under load. Pretty much a steady 5.2. Okay, so again, this is the 5 volt resistored GLV2. I'll fire it again for you here. And this is going to put out a consistent, 5.15 to 5.2. We might drop down to 5 as the batteries, drop down to 5.0 as the batteries start to discharge. So, what does this tell us? It tells us that there aren't a lot of true 3.7 volt devices. Even, one of my favorite devices, period, the Silver Bullet, with an 18650 battery, one of the biggest capacity batteries currently being used in a mod, is not going to put out a consistent 3.7 volts if it ever puts out 3.7 volts. So we'll do this one last time here with my wet box. And I pulled out the filler needle just because the filler needle isn't going to fit with the adapter. So let me get this guy off here. Let me get this on. And we'll see here if we can get a reading on this. So let's see what this is going to put out with a standard resistance 510 on a fully charged 14500. And here we go, we're getting 3.7. Look at that, a 14500, but it says negative 3.57. Let's let this zero out here. That can't be right. There we go. Negative 3.7. I'm guessing that has something to do with this goofy omnidirectional switch. It's just reversing the voltage reading for some reason. So, there you go. But, we're talking about a device that puts out 3.7. Let's go back to the Silver Bullet. And this, again, is the standard 3 ohm atomizer that I've got slapped on here. Just so you can see. Remember, we're at 3.5, got to pull off 0.5. And here we're getting real close. We're getting real close, we're at 3.6. So the low resistance atomizer, the draw on that's going to cause most batteries to not be able to put out their maximum rating and not be able to put out that 3.7 volt rating. So that, when it's all said and done, is really the name of the game, is the atomizer and battery combination. So there you go, a little bit of research. Hopefully this goes a long way for you when you're thinking about mods, testing mods, thinking about batteries, thinking about atomizers. So there you have it. This is a really handy device, and it was made very well. This looks like something that a mod retailer would be able to sell you. I got this built for me by an ECF member. Many thanks to Jetmec, J-E-T-M-E-C, over on the ECF, who actually built this for me. And, you know, a little bit surprising to see that when you start bringing it back to a standard resistance atomizer on some of these you know, mods with 14.5s or 3.7s, etc., that you can get pretty close to a true 3.7 under load. I mean, maybe not always spot on, but pretty darn close. So this is a handy little piece of equipment here, and you can expect to see this in any future mod reviews that I'm doing, because this is the best way, I think it's got to be the best way to test something, see what it's capable of, and see what it's gonna do when you really put the screws to it and put it under load. So again, many thanks to my new friend Jetmec over on the ECF. But hopefully you guys get some use out of this. And you know me, if I'm not swallowed by this snow-nami here in Minnesota this weekend, you'll hear again from me soon.
I'm confident, most wanted when I'm riding with tempo. Got a big back, let me bang that. Show me where your friends at, we can flip that. Let me put you on a game. Let me put you on the game. Let me put you on a game.